Hey, it's FYF Sportsman. Lamont. As you guys already know, we got a special guest today. Head coach Jamall Walker, man. I mean, when you look at this man's coaching resume, his playing resume, he played at St. Louis University. I mean, he's been coaching all over the place. He started in the high school ranks, moved into the college ranks in 2005 at Ball State. Moved from Ball State to St. Louis, Murray State, Ohio. Spent about 7 years at Illinois in the Big Ten, and now he's currently in the desert in Grand Canyon University with Bryce Drew staff. We're going to bring him in. We got Jamall Walker here on the show today. We just brought him on the show, as we do with all coaches. We got so many topics to touch on, but I love hearing from coaches who especially played, all right? Because as a player myself, and I don't know why, and we can start with this topic. As a player myself, I don't know why I tended to have a bit more respect for coaches who actually did it. All right. And in high school, I felt like, and this was probably wrong of me, but in high school, I felt like I didn't maybe give my high school coach enough respect because he never walked it. He never played. He was just one of those guys that kind of talked about it. All right. But that's on me. But Jamall, we're gonna just start you off with the question, as a former player, how do you think your playing experience, say, especially in college, 4-year starter at St. Louis, all right, played at a high level, played in the NCAA tournament, great run at that. How do you think that helps you as a coach today and through all of your stints from the high school ranks all the way into college?
I think I walked the shoes that they're currently in. I've gone to class. I know the expectations of winning, the sacrifice that people quite don't understand that these student athletes have as far as their time management, their ability to not only try to perfect their craft as a basketball player, but also do what they need to do at a high level in the classroom. And so that takes a lot of time management. And we also want to be a student, so I've walked that line. I've done what they've tried to do, and so I try to be sympathetic to that balance of trying to have a social life, be a really good in academics, but yet really be the best basketball player to maximize the potential. And that's what all of them are trying to do. And as coaches, that's what we're trying to do as coaches at the end of the day, is try to maximize their potential, not only in the basketball court, but in the classroom as well.
That's what's up. And then so also, like, when we dive deeper into your playing background, you're from Kansas, Wichita, Kansas. I saw that you were named Kansas Gatorade Player of the Year. So, I mean, obviously there had to be some serious consideration for major programs coming out of high school. What steered you towards St. Louis? What made you go there? Was it, was the opportunity? Did you have bigger offers? I mean, what brought you to St. Louis University to start off your playing career as a player at the D1 level?
Well, I mean, think for me at the time, I lived in Wichita my whole life. I played high school basketball there. My family's from there. And to be quite honest, I wanted to get away from home a little bit, but not too far. I had opportunities to visit Stanford, I had opportunity to visit Nebraska, Kansas State, all those schools. And at the time, the Kansas schools, Kansas State, Nebraska were in the old Big Eight. So I'm old enough when it was the old Big Eight. So at that time, they were transitioning from the Big Eight to what we know now as the Big 12 as my freshman year in college. So I knew that I wanted to stay close to home, but not far, not close, but not be at home at Wichita State, but further enough away where I can kind of develop and grow. And so I chose St. Louis because my relationship with Coach Spooner at the time was really, really good. Coach Spooner, I actually coached a former teammate of mine, or a guy who went to my high school, and he wound up being an all-time leading scorer at what's now Missouri State University. And that's why I went there, because his experience was a great experience playing for him. And at that time, Spoonball was shooting a lot of threes. I mean, at that time, it was the mid-'90s. So, Kentucky was doing their thing with Pitino. And so Coach was shooting a lot of threes, and he was playing multiple guard sets. And that was kind of unheard of a little bit at that time, playing 2-3 guards, point guards at the same time. And so I bought into that, and that's why I went there.
That's what's up. And so as a player for a 4-year career at St. Louis, 11 points per game, 5.3 assists. That's excellent numbers. For a D1 point guard.
Is that right? Okay, right on.
I mean, hold on. Unless
it's been so long now, I can't tell you what I did.
Unless Wikipedia is wrong, I mean, that's what they got you for. So, hey, whatever they got on there,
shout out to Wikipedia.
What coming out of college? What obviously opportunities to play elsewhere were there. And then it's not like you guys were slouches in college. I mean, I see here that you guys made a pretty solid tournament run. Got to the second round, played against Kentucky. How was that experience in the NCAA tournament? Because as a little kid, especially me, late 90s going into 2000, watching some of those NCAA tournaments, especially in Indianapolis. I mean, that was big time. I mean, to be able to play in that type of atmosphere, and then not just play in that type of atmosphere, win a game and then play a team like Kentucky that I think they actually went on to win the national championship there. Tell us about that experience in the NCAA tournament.
Well, I mean, at the time, this is Tubby Smith was his first year head coach at Kentucky. We had won in the first round against UMass, who had a guy named Larry Kettner and Charlton Clark. They were at Atlantic 10, and UMass at the time was in Atlantic 10, and they were the 7 seed. We were the 10, and so we beat them in the Georgia Dome. Well, that week, let me go back. The week before, the SEC tournament was in Atlanta, so that's where the name Catlanta came from, because Atlanta was stormed with Kentucky fans. They had just won the SEC title. And I think that year in Atlanta, I guess all the fans basically just stuck around once they got seated in Atlanta. And that place, man, it felt like a road game. I mean, it was a straight road game. We were playing at the old Georgia Dome, and it was a straight road game. And that team had some big time players on it. I mean, the MVP was Jeff Shepard of the national tournament. He was on that team. Ishimi Evans, who was a player there. Alan Edwards, who's now the assistant coach at Loyola Marymount. I'm trying to think. Wayne Turner was on that team. Jamall McGlure. I mean, they're loaded. They're loaded, and we go in there in the second round and think we compete and we're ready to go. And then it was like 15-2 out the gate, and the rest was history. And so after we left that game, I was like, yo, that was one of the best teams I've ever played against. Yeah. And at that time, we had played UCLA, we had played Michigan when I was in school, and it was just like, man, I was shocked that they didn't. They wound up winning it, but I was not shocked that they did.
Yeah, like I said, not too many people get to experience that, especially as even a lot of D1 athletes don't even get to experience that type of feeling. Maybe they can touch the NIT if they're lucky in some of the other tournaments that they have. Go ahead.
We're very fortunate, man. I mean, that's something that for me as a coach, man, that's what I want our guys to experience. Like, I've been fortunate enough to be there as a player. I'm fortunate enough to be there as a coach multiple times. But this year, when our team went, what a great experience just to watch those guys. I mean, from the charter plane, we're used to, we do some good things here at GCU and one of charter, but the big boy plane, the big NBA plane that the NCAA come pick you up on. Yeah. And then you get I don't know if people notice, you actually get a police escort to your hotel. So you get a police escort with the lights flaring and all our guys. And, that's a great experience to get in there, even though they didn't experience the fans that typically are at a tournament, just to get that experience. And I hope we get an opportunity to continue to grow that and then get some guys some new guys that we have to get that same experience.
Yep. And I think just that in and of itself, just experiencing it yourself, I think that gives a little extra edge to your coaching as far as wanting to see your players succeed, wanting to see them do well on the court, because now we can transition into your college coaching career. All right. Now we talk about you coaching. What made you pass up the potential? I mean, as a D1 player, there's opportunities to maybe continue your playing career elsewhere, even if it's not the NBA. I think, and I would even say that back in the early 2000s, the money was a little bit better going overseas. The opportunities were there. Because now it's just kind of oversaturated. But what made you pass up those opportunities to stick around and go and decide to go into coaching?
I had to be realistic with myself. I mean, could I went overseas and played and make some money? Yes, but I knew if I wanted to make this basketball thing a career, that I needed to start from the ground level, and that usually that didn't take making a lot of money. So I actually started out as a high school coach. I was a high school JV coach. And I originally thought at first that I maybe would get into college coaching, but I wasn't 100% sure. One of my mentors was my high school coach, and he had won a lot of state titles in the state of Kansas. And I thought maybe that was my direction. I wanted to impact lives the way he impacted mine. So I was like, okay, this is the direction I'm going to go. But as I started getting into it a little bit, the high school level, I also coached 4th and 5th grade AAU. So I've coached a lot of different levels in my path. But the reason why I got into college coaching was my high school coach. Once again, he came to me after I've spent 2 years as a high school coach. He said, hey, I got an opportunity for you to be my assistant coach at the junior college level. He goes, but here's the problem. I can't pay you near as much as you make now. And, I'm a teacher. So I'm like, I'm on the low end of the totem pole when it comes to making finances at the time. And, I'm one of those people who are a huge component. Our teachers should make a lot more money than they currently do. But that's a different subject. But at that time, he said, hey, I can only pay you, and this is what I can pay you. I basically can pay you about $13,000, and then you can stay in the dorms with the players. And I just say, you know what? I think this is a kind of an example, just like, hey, betting on myself and having an opportunity and betting not only on myself, but the people I was going to be around in that situation. I think that's really important for people to hear that, it's okay. I hear it a lot of times that people say bet on yourself, but you got to bet on yourself, but you better make sure you bet on the people that you're going to go into this thing with, regardless of that situation. The risk has to be, there's always going to be risk, but you always got to make sure that you're going to make those risks, that you do it with the people that you really think can have your back. And so that's what I did, man. I went to be a junior college coach for 2 years, and we were really successful. And then, it went from there. But, my friends have always said that I see the game different. Ever since the time I was younger, I've always had people say, you're going to be a coach. But, I didn't really buy into that until I got into college, and so, shout out to my coaches, Coach Steve Eck, who was my high school coach, and Charlie Spooner, who was my college coach, who gave me kind of the blueprint a little bit to allow me to be the point guard. When I was a point guard, they gave me a lot of freedom and empowered me to be kind of that coach on the floor. And that's when I realized I could probably do this potentially long term.
Yeah, that's like I said. And I even see that, I'm a seedling starting off in this game, and it's opportunities there, but you have to be willing to take some major risk and as a coach, and I know we talked about this before the show started earlier, as a coach, how, busy schedule, on the road a lot. I know you told me that you're going to be taking off soon to do some recruiting and things like that. With kids, life is hitting you from all angles. As a coach, from all of the ranks, from high school to JUCO, multiple D1 teams, and that probably requires a lot of movement. How do you balance that? And then, even with a wife at home, how do you, when another opportunity comes, you have to go have that conversation, man. And it's just like, man, we got to up and take off. How do you balance those things? How do you balance those things now with, obviously you say you got 3 kids. How do you balance those things, work, family, and still give maximum output as a D1 coach?
I think, first of all, you got to talk about this is a team effort. I mean, my wife is involved in this just as much as anybody, and she has just as much stake in this as I do. So I don't make those type of decisions without her input when it comes to our moving or the situations that we go into. And so how do I balance it? I don't do a good job at times. I always say if you're gonna maximize one thing, it's gonna take away from another. So there's times, but I try to be very conscious of just trying to make sure that I try to serve all the people involved in this, whether it's my wife and the needs she has, whether it's the players or my kids, so I keep that mindful. There's times where I want to do some things that probably I wish I could do on my own, but I know that my son needs me at this point to go shoot, or I've worked out with one of our players and then I haven't worked out with my son. So I got to find a way to do that with him. He wants that time as well, and he wants to get better. So it's a juggling act that's not always, I don't always win, but I try to be mindful of it every day. And that's just putting other people in front of yourself, you know what I mean? And trying to make sure that they're secure and they're happy. And for me, that's kind of how I am. I think when other people around me are happy, I tend to be more happy. And that's because I try to put them first.
That's what's up. And then, like you say, you got to have that. I think you got to be able to maintain and manage it to some degree to be successful as a coach. Continuing on talking about your coaching, I want to really focus on your previous stint because It was in the Big Ten. I'm a
Mhm.
Big Ten guy. Been from Indiana.
Okay.
Went to Purdue University for a few years before venturing off to other schools.
Sure.
Big Ten guy. I really did not like Illinois for a few years when they dominated the Big Ten and they were giving Purdue a lot of problems.
Mhm.
How was it at Illinois? Recruiting in the Midwest, those kids, their mentality. Do you see a difference in mentality from those Midwest kids that you're recruiting from what you see now? What was the difference from the Big Ten to what you're dealing with right now?
I think from first of all, talk about the Midwest and in the different area. I mean, I think basketball is played. It's one of the unique things. You can see a style of basketball from where a person's located. Sometimes it's a brand of basketball. It's just different. And it doesn't mean it's right, wrong, or it's just a different way of playing. Let's say that basketball is a little bit in the Midwest is a little bit more grimier. It's a little bit more more half court oriented, and I think, and then you come out west and it's a little bit faster, and then you got the East Coast, which is kind of rugged, and you have guard play, and it's the athletes in the Southeast region, and so those are kind of stereotypes, if you say, you know what I mean, but there is a brand of basketball there that's kind of the way the region kind of plays, So as far as the Big Ten, I mean, Illinois was one of my dream places to go to college, actually, to play. I had 4 places that, like, for me, I've always said were kind of places that, and that was one of them, to say if I ever could play or coach there, that would be a dream of mine. So being in Illinois was really one of my dreams, to work with the University of Illinois and to try to represent that university and represent that basketball program. And I did that for 8 years. And so, but like I tell people, there's dreams and your dream, and then what God's plan is. And sometimes they line up and sometimes they don't, and so I choose to follow his plan more than my own. And so at the time when it was year 8, I think he was pulling at my heart and saying, hey, you need to do something different. This is what I got for you. And that's kind of how I ended up at Grand Canyon, with Coach Drew and this staff here, is that I feel like it was time to go. And I always try to listen to the words of the man above as much as possible to guide and direct my steps.
That's beautiful right there. Because, like I said, that's similar. The crazy thing is, and I'm not going to get on myself too much, but when I was coaching in Indiana, it was kind of the similar tug to GCU. I just felt like it was the right move to make, the right time, right place to be, right personnel. So I definitely understand that. Now that you're here at GCU, all right. I mean, obviously, even when I was in Indiana, I heard about the crazy student section. I heard about the growing campus. I heard about all of those things. But now that you're here, I've seen just from afar how you guys have changed the culture within the basketball program, the style of practice. I mean, I was at your practice the other day. That's literally probably one of the most efficient practices I've ever seen in my life. I gotta get with you guys about how you do that. But what are your expectations here at GCU? I mean, it's small D1 school, but I feel like there are bigger expectations than what the school actually is. What's your goal here at GCU?
Our goal is to try to maximize the place of itself. And so what is that? I think sometimes people put limits on certain things. I refuse to put limits on this place. This place has unbelievable facilities, has unbelievable administration, has unbelievable resources. The sky's the limit. So I wouldn't put a cap on this. I think it's about maximizing it. And so where is that? I don't know. Our number one goal is to try to continue to advance and move this program forward each and every day. I feel like we've done that. For us to have an opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament, not only that, but win the regular season last year was a step in the right direction. And I'll be honest, it was a little bit faster than probably some people anticipated. And so, but we got to continue to do that. We can't get excited. We can get excited about it, yes, but we can't rely on that or get complacent, because again, I think the sky's the limit. The maximum opportunities that we had from, like I said, the administration to the people, and now it's just about bringing in the right type of people, the right type of character to continue to enhance that and move that thing forward. And so we'll see. We start practice up next week. I appreciate you giving us a shout out with our efficient practice. We got to continue to do that. I'm one of those people, man. You kind of hear it right now. I'm very process driven. I really cutting down nets is something I love to do, and it's my ring, but it's really not.
Yeah.
It's really not my end all, the be all, and I think that's how our staff thinks as well. It's about the process and moving this thing forward each and every day. And when we do that, then we'll do things what we just did like last year.
It's crazy that you said that, because cutting down the nets, I was at Purdue coaching club basketball. We won the national championship 2017. I felt like that's what I always needed to push for. I come here to GCU, and the first thing, Matt Gordon, if you've met him already, the first thing he tells me, it's not about that. And it took me a while to realize that. It's right. And so again, it took me a few, but that's just me learning more as a coach. I felt I'm still learning. I'm still learning the process, understanding these students, and it's a little bit more than just always winning. That's not the ultimate goal, especially here at GCU. It's about the family, the culture, and the faith.
I think that's important for, I think, a lot of people. If you got a lot of subscribers who are coaches, I think if you try to make it all about winning, you're shortchanging the effect that you really can have on these kids and this business. So, those who usually are about just winning, like I love winning. If you find 5 or 10 people that love winning more than me, put them in the room. You know what I mean? But I also understand that's the byproduct of doing it, doing the why. Why do we do what we do? And when we get away from if it's just about winning, then you're just missing out on about 95% of the relationships, and the legacy that you can have is far more impactful to the person. You know what I mean? To what you can put inside of them. And then then that goes to the next person who learns to the next person. That's a legacy. That's dope to me. You know what I mean? So yes, I love walking in gyms, and I'm fortunate enough to be a part of some special groups, from a Sweet 16 run to this group here, to being the first to ever win a regular season and then first to advance in the NCAA tournament. But I'd rather have that feeling of what I've done to impact somebody who maybe could be the next, could change their lifestyle, or could change the trajectory of their family and the generations to come.
Yeah. And so we touched on all of these things as far as the impact of this new coaching staff that came to GCU with you, Bryce Drew, Shaw, and Schilling. I mean, the impact is like day and night. So you guys immediately came in, culture change impact that's noticeable even from afar. Everything looks like it's heading in the right direction. Make the NCAA tournament, great experience for all the players. And then a week after the season's over, I mean, GCU gets probably hit with probably some of the most devastating news that we've heard. And, when I first heard it, I'm thinking this has to be fake. This is it has to be fake. And it was the passing of number 4, Oscar Frayer.
Right.
He's been here at GCU. He was here. The old regime, Dan Marley, he was blessed to be able to be a part of your program with the new regime and Bryce Drew. And everybody saw the change in him. And it was like with him, just like with the old regime and the new regime, night and day. The same thing with Oscar. The change in him was night and day. And when the untimely news came about his passing after the season ended, how did that hit the program? How did that hit the program? And I mean, I know it's probably tough to talk about how did it hit the program, but what was, as a coaching staff, how do you guys get together and say, how do we address this? Because you don't know how players take it. You don't even know how coaches take it. Because we never, as players, coaches, we never think about that. And when it happens, how did you guys manage that as a team and just on campus?
Well, man, I mean, first of all, you're never prepared I just never say that. I would never want to put that upon anybody, that you have to see one of your players, get called up to the Lord above. That was really, really hard. I don't think we weren't prepared. I don't think anybody would be prepared. That's not, as I like to say, that's not in the coaching handbook, to how to handle a situation. And I think for us, I think it was just, our connecting to each other, our faith, number one. I think our group has such a strong faith. Obviously, GCU allows you to have a faith component to the because of the university. And so we have a coaching staff. And number one, that's a big part of what we do. We're men of faith. And that's kind of, As I like to tell recruits, that's kind of how we prepare. That's kind of how we do things, that we're going to have biblical principles in the way we coach and the way we walk and the way we talk and the way we act, so number one, so that allowed us to understand that there's something bigger than us. God called Oscar home, and we understand that. And so what we can do is, like I just told you earlier, is we can impact these kids, man. It was a lot of people, I know it's been told before, but during our semifinal, or I think right before our final game, we had an altar call, and Oscar gave his life to Christ. He was one of the people who raised his hand. And so, that's significant, because again, that's impacting somebody in a way that you say, yes, everybody saw him change. And I think we had a small hand in that, because if he wanted to change, and we were willing to give him the patience and give him the opportunity to help him grow. And so that's what coaching to me is all about, and unfortunately, he's not here with us, but he still has a lasting memory, at least for our team and at this university for years to come. And that's a legacy to me.
That's facts, man. Like I said, he was always at the CAC. A lot of the club guys were close to him, got input from him, talked to him all the time. And so, yeah, it was, how GCU is. It's like a family, and just from students to student athletes to the club program, it was felt campus wide. But the one thing that was truly appreciated was what you just said, man. Everything that you said, the way the understanding that, the way you run your program, the way he did give his life to Christ. I think that gave everybody a bit of peace when they heard that aspect of it, and that makes it's much easier to accept when you hear it from that angle. So, man, appreciate your staff for handling that. And like I said, and this, when I go into that practice gym, and then you look at the design around the wall, and all the jerseys are number 4. It's just
that was up there. Somebody actually who had never been in our gym said, "Did you guys do that?" You guys, if you go on our, people don't know, if you go on our practice facility, there's a picture of the Havocs in the middle of the on the back end of the wall, and they all have number 4 jersey. For what reason, I still don't know why they were wearing number 4 jerseys. Maybe, I have no idea, but now it's kind of symbolic, And actually, when we found out, we got together as a team, and we talked, let the kids talk a little bit about the situation, help them understand what was going on. One of the first things is I turned the corner, I said, "Man, isn't that ironic that that's up there?" God gives you sometimes messages that you miss, man. And so now you go, man, I see it, and so, he's definitely a part of us, to this day. My son, he actually wears a shoe on it. One of the shoes says "Oh Forever" on it, so again, like, I hope his mom is knowing that he actually impacted not only, the culture of our university, the culture of our program, but, little kids as well.
Yeah, that legacy will never be forgotten. And so you end your season, you deal with that. All right. You start to, move past that, going and transitioning into this season. As we transition into this season, now we hear the NCAA hit everybody with the ruling that now players can start to make money off their own likeness. All right. And so now, as you being a recruiter, a coach at D1 level, that kind of changes a lot of things. You already have, and with some of the guys going to, some of these other programs, you got the G League Ignite program, so they're snatching players. Then the NCAA hits everybody with the ruling, extra year eligibility. All right, so that kind of throws a monkey wrench into a lot of students' plans who are hoping to get recruited. You got transfers all over the place. Do you think all of these changes within the NCAA, when you talk about the players getting paid for their likeness, which I don't mind that, and then the transfers, extra year eligibility, is it good or bad for college basketball?
I think it's good, man. Everybody gets shook up about change all the time. I mean, one thing, if you're going to be a coach, you better learn to adapt. Yes. The coaches that can't adapt usually lose, man. And you got to be able to adapt to new rules and within the game. I played when their college, the 3-point line was 19-9. Now it's further back. There was a time when you couldn't dunk in college, and you got to adapt. And you got to adapt to the game is evolution. With evolution, it's going to constantly change, and the rules are going to change within it. So I'm all for it. It doesn't bother me. But from a recruiting aspect, where I think people have to be careful, if I was a parent, is not to get blinded by the fact that of NIL and people telling you things that aren't true. or I don't think anybody's going to get rich off NIL. I don't. I think you can make some pretty good money, and there's some people who are going to make some pretty good money, but I don't know if somebody's going to necessarily be rich, And so I think sometimes there's distractions to the ultimate prize. The ultimate focus is if I can get NIL money, but if the style of play and the coaching staff treats me like trash, what am I going to do? Yeah. The main thing, keep the main thing the main thing. NIL is almost like a cherry on top to what's the most important things, and that as families, and I would be careful. If NIL is that important to you as a family, then you're missing the boat. It's just like I said about coaches. And so people just got to be careful. And as a coach, I gotta adjust to the times. And so I'm with it. I was a former player. I don't think I would have made any money off my image in life anyway. I wasn't that nice, but some people will. So, I think people should just adjust. I don't like when coaches are just, they complain and they're moaning and groaning. It's just like, change, adapt. If you can't adapt to it, you're going to get left behind in your program. You're going to be looking back, you're going to be looking up to other programs as they move and adjust to these rules.
And so with that change, with these rule changes, also has been I wouldn't say a major overhaul to your roster, but it's a lot of new faces here at GCU now. GCU basketball. I think, obviously, at least with us having a sports podcast, we talk about NBA teams all the time. One of the most interesting prospects that you guys brought in was Kobe Knox, brother of Kevin, who plays in the NBA. But when we look up and down your roster, I saw Sean Miller Moore. I saw he made I think it was a clip. I don't know if ESPN was playing it or something of talking about his vertical. I like Blackshear coming back in. He's grown he looks like he's a great leader for that team. But you got a lot of new faces overseas, transfers. Gabe has developed astronomically, at least in my eyes. Right. And then you got the two players from Arizona State. How do you feel about your roster this year? Are there any potential roadblocks with this team, or what do you expect out of this team that you guys have for this season coming?
Well, I think we have some talented pieces. There's no question about it. I feel like we have a deeper team than what we did last year. We're still gelling. It's not even, we haven't had the first week of practice as far as a team. We've done some workouts and so forth. So what I do know is that the expectations are always the same. We want to maximize our team. We want to try to be the best we can possibly be. We want to play for one another, and try to sacrifice. I think if this team does that, like the other team last year, one of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit last year's team, reason why I think we were successful, because Alessandro Lever went from the man on offense to all of a sudden we were playing through Ashby on Midgard, and he had to sacrifice some of his touches in and around the rim that he typically had the year before we got there, to sacrifice for another player, and he did that. That's why teams win, when they want to sacrifice for their brother and they're excited for him to become successful. And it's just so ironic. Both of those guys made our first team All-League because he sacrificed for his teammate. He actually got accolades as well, and he got to do something he never did before, which is actually go to the NCAA tournament. So we have enough talent, and as a coach, that, man, if you got enough talent, that's like, okay, and we put it together. Now are guys willing to sacrifice? Now are guys willing to do all the little things that help guys win? And so we'll see. I'm excited for that. That's what I love to do as a coach, man, is to put them pieces together and help put those pieces together with Coach Drew and the rest of the staff to see if we can make that happen. So, so in answer to that, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, you get it. You said a good point there, because you talked about, and I said this on another situation, because we're going to transition into some NBA talk as well. You said as a coach, it's always lovely to, before the season starts, to be able to look at your roster and be like, we got the talent. Yeah. And there was a question that was posed on our show about the Lakers. They said, is Frank Vogel, is there too much pressure? And I said, well, when you look at that roster, Westbrook, LeBron, and AD, you're probably not stressing too much when you know that you got a boatload of talent over there. As we transition to some of this NBA talk, what are your thoughts on these? I guess we're in like this super team era of basketball and NBA. What are your thoughts on these super teams? Are they ultimately going to have a lot of success? And then what are the downfalls? What's the negative side of having these super teams? Because we've seen super teams fail in the past, at least from your perspective as a player and a coach.
I don't mind the super teams at all, if that's what you call them, because I mean, it's still, despite all that, with super teams, they still have to mesh and play cohesively together. Like, the talent is definitely there, but it still has to mesh. Like, some people, when they throw these super teams together, it doesn't always work. So it doesn't mean it's going to work. I mean, I don't know where Brooklyn is at with theirs. Is that going to really work? Are they going to try to move Kyrie at some point in time? I know the team that just won the championship, I wouldn't call them a super team.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't call Giannis. I love Holiday. I think he's terrific, and I love Chris Middleton. But me and my boys were talking one time. Do you call those guys stars? Do you call them? They're really good players. There's no question about it. But are they stars? Are you calling them the big three? No, what they were was a cohesive unit that played together really well. Even Phoenix. I mean, we've been fortunate enough because of where we're located, here in Phoenix, that we see a couple of those Phoenix Suns guys. Cam is always Campaign is always in our gym working out, and he'll say it. He'll be the first one to tell you, LA was a way better from a talent perspective. Was better than us. But we played together. We were a brotherhood. We were a family. And that's why they were able to maximize themselves as a Phoenix Sun team all the way to play another team who was like them, And so it doesn't mean they're going to win the championship. I like the Lakers. I'm a LeBron fan. And I don't think he's the GOAT. So I'll say that right now. For all them young guys on our team who think he's a GOAT, I need to go watch some of them MJ clips, man. Watch some of them MJ clips, and you tell him you come back to me. But he's a generational talent, And so I think that group's going to come together and do some things, and they'll definitely be a playoff contention. They'll be right in the thick of it. But will those pieces line up? And as a coach, that's what Frank Vogel's. That's his job. Even in the NBA, his job is to make those pieces, find a way to get them to mesh and play cohesively as a unit. And so the pressure is on him. But I'd rather have that pressure than the pressure of not having no dudes like them.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh yeah. It's tough when you going in, and I've been on some of those teams where even coaching wise, where kind of going in, the expectations aren't as high just because you lack the talent. So it's a different struggle from that perspective. But GOAT conversation, because you already kind of dropped it on who you feel is the GOAT. You got MJ as the GOAT.
Come on.
MJ is the GOAT over LeBron James, but why? Give us 3 reasons why you have MJ as the GOAT over LeBron James.
I just think for at that time, the way he dominated the game, man. He's an MVP of the league. He was a defensive player of the year in the league. He was an MVP of the finals. The man transcended sports, man. Like people want the. I remember growing. People didn't wear baggy shorts. They wore baggy shorts because of Mike, man. You wanted the Mike shorts, man. Mike shorts would hit the knee. You know what I mean? Like you wore the J's. I mean, people still rock J's. I mean, it not only mean J's mean not only legacy, but it's like I got game, I got swag. Even though you may not have no game, you think you put some J's on, it hits your fit different. You know what I mean? If you got some jeans, you got some J's on, your swag different. People look at you,
that's
look J's. Yeah. I see you got your little stash back in the back with the taxis back there and your 11 lows. I see you back there.
there. I got a few pair.
You ain't got no LeBrons back there. You know what I'm saying? You got any LeBrons back there?
I got one. I got one little person. They on the bottom though. They
you got a whole section of J's though. A whole that just tries to tell you. And you didn't even grow up in the fire era as I did, where I saw Mike at his top. I worked at Michael Jordan camp in college, and I got to see Mike do his craft firsthand. He used to run his camp at Elgin College. And back in the 90s, he would invite college guys to work the camp, and we would play pickup afterwards. And so I played some pickup with him a couple of times. And man, I've never seen a dude who I couldn't even play. Like I was just like, I'm out here with Mike. You know what I'm saying? Mike kicked me a pass. I'll just tell the story. He kicked me a pass and I shot it. I missed it. And he barked at me like I was Steve Kerr. And I'm like, yo, man, I'm just a college dude out here, man. Just happy to be out here with you, man. He may have said a couple of extras to me. I don't even know, but I don't even know what he said. But he said something like basically make the shot. You know what I'm saying? So I would say Mike, man. It's for me, and I'm not saying that these other guys are, because I do think LeBron is generational talent. I think Kobe's right up there, you know, for my era as far as right there with those guys.
Yeah, I like the number one. See, the number one answer first answer that you said, because when I ask people this question, they fall into the trap. That I like the ladies' traps, because it is a debate channel. We have these debates all the time. And when I ask them the question, you have a lot of people that just run to 6-0 undefeated.
Nah.
Yeah.
I think that's such a hard. I think just getting there is hard. That's why I respect LeBron, man, because I'm not trying to disrespect somebody on a deal, but I was like, man, he went to the finals with Ira Newble. Like, I mean, come on, man. He went. Come on, man. He had Ira Newble, man. He had some dudes that I was like, who? Yeah. You know what I mean? You probably can't even name the starting five of the first five that, you know, I shout out to Mo Williams. I like Mo Williams, but man, you going with Mo Williams? You know what I mean? Golly, man. That dude has been unbelievable, and he's had some pitfalls there. I mean, but that's what, you know, as a player, man, that's what makes you grow, though. You know, LeBron is who he is because of those situations, you know, to get those opportunities to go. Where if he lost to Dallas, you know what I mean, he had to be humbled a little bit. He thought it was going to be easy, and he had to get humbled a little bit to lose that series with the Mavericks, and then he won the next two, you know. And he understands how hard it is, you know, how much focus it takes, how much dedication it takes. You know, I respect that, you know. 6-0, I think that's just kind of easy turn to as an example of why he's the GOAT, you know. I just think generationally, I even argue sometimes I could say Steph Curry is a GOAT because he transcended basketball. When guys transcend basketball and make people play a different way, it changes the game. You know, like what it's Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know, think about like Kareem. You know, when he was Lou Alcindor, you couldn't dunk in college because of this dude. Like, I mean, that's like when they changed rules for you. Yeah. You know, they changed the free throw rule for Wilt because he used to shoot finger rolls at the rim. You know what I mean? That's when they changed the game on you. When you transcend sports and they change rules for you, that's what I think makes you a GOAT. My opinion.
I give you that as well. And then these players is different. When you just talked about Steph Curry, I mean, he kind of blew up the way you have to defend pick and rolls now when you got everybody chucking up these threes from deep at an efficient clip. So, yeah, the game has changed. I want to talk about a player that you actually played with because Larry Hughes, I think he was one of the first players that kind of enacted this shift in basketball where you're talking about with the flash, with the moves, you know, the offensively driven type of player. I think he was one of the first players that kind of hit us with that style of play. What was it like playing with a guy like Larry Hughes, who eventually played in the NBA? He played at a high level. Right. Did you see it in him at the college level that he was going to move on to the next level and have success?
Yeah, and yes, definitely, you did. At that time, though, it was different. It's not like it is now. Like, you know, this is 1997, 98. And at the time, basketball was shifting. You know, Kevin Garnett, I graduated in high school class in 1995. And Kevin Garnett was in my class. I mean, my class was a ridiculous, man, I just named some: Antoine Jameson, Stephon Marbury, Vince Carter, Kevin Garnett, Tractor Trailer. Those dudes were all in my class in 1995. And Kevin Garnett at that time was the first dude to go from high school in a long time, from high school to pro. So this is 1995, and then I think Kobe comes a little bit later, Tracy McGrady. At the time, there was no one and done. You know what I mean? So this is 1997, 98. Larry Hughes scores 35, I think, or 40 at Marquette. And I remember sitting in my locker. This is like a late January after the game. We just win. Big game. He has 40. I mean, 40. I mean, unbelievable 40. I've never seen a dude have 40 in a game on either side. Yeah. I'm just sitting there, and I just told to my teammate, and I said, I think this dude can be a pro. Yeah. And he goes, nah, because people weren't going pro at that time as a freshman. You know, people weren't leaving. You know, it's funny you said I was having a talk with our players, and I said, look this up. I said, nobody left. I said, give you an example. I said, let's look up Shaq's numbers in college. And they looked, and we looked. Shaq averaged 27 and 15 as a sophomore and did not go pro.
Yeah.
And I said, now guys average 8 and 4, and they're putting their name in the draft. It's just a different era, you know. And, so when Larry, I didn't see that coming. That I didn't think he would leave, but I knew he could be a pro. You know, like it was just like he did too many things that I'd never seen from a college player as a teammate. And he was a great teammate and still a great person. To this day, I talk to him. He's got a son who's playing right now and is going to be a good player as well. So, but he's living in St. Louis, and he's everything he got, he deserved, man. He worked really hard for it.
That's what's up. Yeah, I kind of saw that in a player similar. I saw it in each one more at Purdue. I saw it very early in his career. I said, yeah, he's different. The way he works, the way his calmness on the court, the game seems slower, and I kind of sensed it. So I think you can sense it in a lot of guys when they get there.
I will say this for pros, man. This is sometimes in practice. Like he had another gear, and I've coached pros too. They have a different gear where like nobody can match. Where it's just like when they go to a level of intensity, a level of focus, where it's just like other guys can't match it. You know, Larry Hughes would do that sometimes. You know, I've had other guys do that who like, you know, I've been fortunate enough to recruit like Io DeSumo, who was at Illinois. He could do that. Like those guys are different, man. Like, and they move different. They sacrifice more. You know, some people call him different as far as like, man, he different, he weird, you know, because they don't understand the journey and the focus that these dudes have. And sometimes, and for people out there who have a strong focus and desire, people are gonna call you different and weird and uncommon. And I think when you do that and they start calling you that, then you're on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because that means you're doing something that's not like everybody else. And where you trying to go, you ain't trying to be like everybody else. You know? So.
All right, man. Hey, and then the last question, we ask everybody this question, especially former players, man. Who's the first person to cook you on the court?
Cook me?
You cook you bad. I mean, in game. We're talking in game. In game. Couldn't do nothing about it.
Well, I was fortunate, man. I played really high level AAU basketball. My AAU teammate was Teron Lou, who's now obviously coaching with the Clippers. Yeah. And I remember we played a team out of New York called Brooklyn, USA, at an AAU tournament. And you know where we played it? We actually played them at Purdue.
Oh, okay.
At Purdue. It's with the old Speaks. Remember Speaks? You've been.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was a Speaks player too.
Well, the first Speaks tournament was at Purdue. This was in the mid '90s, and they had two guards. And I never heard of any one of them because at the time, this is not the time where internet and all that stuff. And I mean, these dudes was frying me in Toronto. I mean, we couldn't guard neither one of them. And it wound up being what they call a guy named God Shamgod. Oh. And a dude with North Carolina, Ed Cota.
Hey, I remember Ed Cota.
So they gave me baptism that day. And so when I see those dudes, I seen Sham a couple of times. I was like, yo, you was the first one to make me go home after that tournament, go home. Like, I got to work on my game. I got some work to do, man. I knew I had to work, but man, this guy made me work. And so those two really come to mind like right away. And, you know, they had great college careers and even pro careers as well.
Okay, now hit the flip side. We got to ask because we're going to talk about who can you still cook, but we got to always throw a little spice to it. With the roster that you have currently constructed at GCU, who do you feel you could still get buckets on your roster?
Man, I'm so old right now, man. I'm in good shape, but I can't move, man. I've tried to do some stuff. I'm not even going to front like that. It's a
wrap.
I don't even, when the managers are playing, they're like, coach, come in here and get some shots. I will shoot. But that is really about it, man. I have both my Achilles, so I'm excited about that because all my friends have, you know, they've had the 40-year-old injury where they ripped their Achilles. Ooh. So I'm good, man. My days are come and went. I'm good with that. You know, I'm really good on the VersaClimber. I'm really good on the treadmill. I can do some weights. If they want to see me in the weight room, that's a little different. But you know, but not on the court, man. I kind of know. So who I like to give buckets to, who I would really like to give buckets to, I like to give buckets to Blackshear because he think he be playing some defense. But I know I can't. I would like to, but I can't.
He was known like that was his MO in Arizona coming out of high school.
I know. That's why I want to cook him because I want that. I'm not gonna run. I'm not gonna shy away from that. I want that challenge. That's just me. I'm a challenge guy. Like I want the guy who they say got the stuff, got the goods. You know?
Yeah. A funny story. I was one of the club players that he sent me some video pretty good. But then I also found some other video of him playing Javon Blackshear in high school, and
yeah, he didn't want to send that to you, did he?
Yeah, no, they set the state record. They set the state record for the most steals in the game. That's why you didn't send me that video, man. But yeah, now Javon is a pretty good player. I like the way he's developed. You know what? He's probably surprised me the most on that entire roster, because coming in as you would call an undersized guard. Mm-hmm. The way I seen him play against bigger guards, against higher level opponents, like that game against ASU last year, really woke me up. I said, yeah, I could tell he's really putting in the work, getting better, because that even though it was a close game y'all lost, tough shot at the end of that game, but it showed me a lot about the fight in that team. And I said it would have been nice to win it, but out of that loss, it gave me a lot more respect for the program and what y'all were doing with regards to building that team. Mm-hmm. And I like a lot of the prospects, but man, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up because I don't want to keep you too long. We getting on close to an hour with this one. But it was a great interview. Make sure, let everybody know if you have any social media or anything with regards to the team that you want to get out there. Just let everybody know how they can contact you out there just in the social world.
Sure. I'm Instagram, Coach Walker 11, and then obviously my Twitter handle is Jamall Walker. Feel free to hit me anytime. You know, I'm a big proponent of trying to help people. I feel like that's kind of God's calling on my life, to inspire and to serve, but also mentor people in the game, particularly in basketball. So anybody that ever needs any assistance or thoughts, and please be genuine and true about really wanting to learn and grow, and I'll help anybody any way I can.
Hey, I know I'm definitely going to be in touch because like I said,
access. You just walk away and come holler at me. You know what I mean? Anytime you want to. So.
But like I said, y'all blew my mind. That y'all got more done in 30 minutes than we get done in 2 hours. And I said, I'm still. Like I said, every time I think I know something about this coaching thing, I see something that blows my mind and be like, man, I'm not there yet. I'm not ready yet. So,
man, I do the same thing. We all trying to grow, man. I'm trying to grow until they put me underneath the ground, man, about this game. So.
All right, man. Hey, y'all, it's Jamall Walker, assistant coach for Grand Canyon University. Appreciate you pulling up to the show today, man. It was a great interview, great conversation. We touched on a lot of different things, from his plan, from his college career, going into coaching, you know, the journey here to GCU, the trials and tribulations of just dealing with the changes in the NCAA internally, externally, and then the NBA. So we touched on everything here at FYF Sports, man. But hey, we got more interviews to come. We got a few players coming up. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Stay tuned into the show. Make sure you're following us on Instagram and Twitter to get all of those notifications. I'm going to put Jamall's Twitter and IG handle on the screen as well. So make sure y'all go follow him, check him out, support the team going into this season, man, because it's a great roster. And if you don't know this already, GCU has a fan base, a student section that's not matched at all. I thought the Duke Blue Devils had it. That's who I watched growing up. But when I came here to GCU and I actually saw the GCU student section of Havocs, in work, in person, I said, that's different right there. I mean, they have practices to prepare for games. So, man, it's something. So if you get an opportunity to watch a game, they're going to be on TV. They got a lot of big games coming up. Make sure you check out GCU and Jamall Walker. But hey, today's show is a wrap. Like I said, make sure you follow us, like, comment, and subscribe on the video. Let us know what you think about this interview. Hit us up in the comment section. Hey, but we're going to be back with more sports news and all of that good stuff later. But until then, it's FYF Sports.